I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, your daily sports podcast inside the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. They got old school service there at Limback Lumber because they've been doing it since 1930. Give those folks a call. Ask for Paul, 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbacklumber.com. You can follow me on social media, Puck Sports on X, Instagram, and Blue Sky if you choose. Puck_sports on TikTok. And please go visit pucksports.com. You can find all of our links to our video, audio platforms. Also, you can sign up to become a Bucks Posse member for as little as $5 a month. Just think about what you spend daily. $5 daily. Is there anything actually that you can buy that's $5 daily? Is there? What are the things that you can buy that are $5 a day? And somewhat like it's a good deal. It's not much. Ladies and gentlemen, on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we are graced with a true journalist and a broadcasting legend. He's such a big deal. He is retired early. He's bought another home in Bend, Oregon. He works out of a shed, and he's brought to you by not one, not two, but three sponsors.
Yeah, I'm a big deal, Puck.
The Bellevue Reporter called him our generation's Hunter S. Thompson. It's Jim Moore, the go-to guy.
It was the Bellevue Journal-American, and I worked there once upon a time. But now here I am. Look at where my career's gone.
And
straight to the toilet.
And Greg Johns. Did Greg Johns work at the Bellevue American?
He did at one time, yes. He also worked at the PI. Yeah. Glenn Drosendahl.
Who else worked at the Bellevue American that went on to bigger and better things? Greg Johns.
Glenn Drosendahl. Does that name ring a bell at all?
No.
He was a sports editor at the PI. Mark Akins, who went on to the sports desk at the Seattle Times. Yeah. Mark Murfeld, Lawson Abenanti. Any of those names ring a bell for you?
What about Nino Damasio?
Nuno Damasio. You want a quick Nuno Damasio story?
I know you're going to tell. I've heard it a million times, but tell it again.
Well, no, I'm not.
Is this when he took the job to cover Washington, the Redskins?
Yeah, no, if you're going to make fun of me, I'm not
making fun of you.
No, it's a great story, and you should have just played along. If you were a good teammate, you'd have played along.
I should.
Yeah, sure, Jim. I'd like to hear the Nuno Damasio story.
But you didn't hear me.
Aren't going to be able to hear it. What?
You didn't hear me finish. I've heard it many times. It's a great story. I'd like to hear it again.
Way to sell it, Puck. Appreciate that. Nuno Damasio and I used to cover the Sonics. Nuno covered it for the Seattle Times, and I covered it for the Seattle PI. And I love Nuno, but I'm going to rip him right now anyway. He ended up getting a job at the Washington Post. And I remember Frank Hughes and I were thinking, Jesus Christ, what's the Washington Post doing hiring this guy? Now, Nuno, since that time, I mean, I'm wrong about everything. Nuno has written a book about Bill Parcells. You know who I've written a book about? No one. I haven't written a book. So Nuno's gone on to greater things. So who am I to rip this guy? Well, what the hell? I'll do it anyway. When he got the job, at the Washington Post, it was to cover the Redskins, and he didn't know anything about football. So he actually got a book called Football for Dummies and was reading it. And Rich Cho, who used to work for the Sonics and went on to work for the Hornets. He passed along that story that Nuno had highlighted. You know, a football team has a quarterback, two running backs, receivers, and so on. And we're sitting there going, the Washington Post hired this guy to cover the Redskins.
How could you not just know like what the quarterback is? You're like a sports reporter. Like, come on.
Well, it wasn't like, some small town newspaper hired him. It was the Washington Post.
Is he still there?
No, I'm not sure what Nuno's doing now, but I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. There was another Nuno story, real quick one.
Sure.
Okay. It was in February, and we were in Cleveland. The Sonics were getting ready to play the Cavaliers. I think the season was like 2001, and we were flying on the team plane at the time. We get off on the tarmac, and it's just freezing. And they didn't have a ride for the reporters. You know, they had the buses for the team, but we didn't have a ride. So there was a guy in a pickup that picked us up. And there was only room for one guy in the front of the pickup and, then the back of the pickup for the other two guys. And so we were trying to decide who was going to sit in the back. And Nuno looked at us and he goes, "Hey, man, it's February. It's Black History Month. Get in the back, motherfuckers." And we looked at him. I looked at Frank. He looked at me, and we were like, "Black History Month? We'll get in the back." So we got in the back. It was about 10 degrees.
Black History Month. I can't find. How do you spell it? You spell his name? Yeah.
Nunyo. Damasio. DEMASIO.
There he is. I found him now. There we go. Nuno Damasio. What is he up to now?
God, and there was one night where he was hitting on the Ritz-Carlton in Philadelphia, the Ritz-Carlton receptionist. I bet him $20 that she wouldn't show that night, and he bet me, and she ended up showing, so I had to pay him $20.
He's got his own website, NunoDamasio.com.
No,
listen to Nuno and Company.
He's a character, man. He wrote a book about Parcells. I mean, he's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm brought to you by Brian Turner at A Clean Streak, and he also has Bright Owl Lighting. You know Brian Turner up there in Oak Harbor.
Sure.
He can do all your cleaning needs, whatever you have, pressure washing, window washing, clean your roof, clean your gutters. He can do it all. So check it out at acleanstreak.com. He also has Bright Owl Lighting. Don't put up your Christmas lights this year. He'll do it for you. Check it out, brightowllighting.com, or call 360-675-2034. The Cougs aren't playing this weekend, but the Mariners are. The Seahawks are. You can catch all the games at the Angry Beaver in Greenwood. It's a Seattle favorite for years, now owned by Matt Baker. He's a Coug. There's all kinds of TVs. He's got all kinds of beers. He'll give you shots of Fireball. Just check it out. The Angry Beaver in Greenwood. And another Coug, Brad Brotherton. Want to thank him for sponsoring me here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, pucksports.com podcast. Do you need a new car, Puck?
I do, and I could really use a Cadillac. People when they see me walking around the neighborhood, what they say to me generally is, "You look like a Cadillac person."
Yeah, you sure
I'd love to be a Cadillac person.
You want to be a Buick person?
I'd like to have a Cadillac from Brotherton Cadillac.
How about a GMC?
That's fine. A GMC, yeah.
Okay. You can do it all because he's Brotherton Cadillac, Brotherton Buick GMC. He's got dealerships in Shoreline. He's got them in Renton, and you can check it out at brothertonauto.com. He's a hell of a guy. You can say "Go Cougs" to him. He'll say "Go Cougs" back. He loves the Cougs.
Why don't you talk
Huskies who do business with him too.
Well, why don't you talk to him? To him. I could use a GMC. I need a truck. I'm kind of in this truck phase. I'd like to get a truck to go along with the van. I think that'd be a perfect balance.
All right. So you want a truck, and you want free Christmas light display again this year?
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. Right. The Christmas lights were a big hit. He reached out to me, that Brian said, he says, "This year I want to go bigger and better." I said, "Brian, the house is yours. Okay. You do with it whatever you want." I want it like Christmas Vacation. We're blinding the neighbors.
Is it nice just watching him and his crew put them up for you?
I sat out there last time. Yeah, I said I just kind of pulled up a chair and watched people do manual labor where I didn't.
That's good. The Tigers have the leadoff runner on. Come on, Vinny.
That's great.
Come on, Vinny.
Not going to do it. Hey, I'm looking at Damasio's resume. What I liked is that he barely mentions the Seattle Times, but he gets to the Washington Post, on his resume and says, "Covered Washington's football team." The paper's most important beat after the White House. And I'm thinking, this guy got a book called Football for Dummies.
That is a true story. It is a true story. And he highlighted different things in there.
First down is the first play of the offensive series.
I love the guy, and I'm going to keep ripping him, though. And the people we love the most, we rip the most. But I never worried that he was going to beat me on a story on the beat. Frank Hughes, I would worry about him. Glenn Nelson, of course, I always worried about him. Mike Kahn, back in the day. Mike Kahn was a go-getter. But
Mike Conn
Nuno was a
was the best.
go-getter as much as I was a go-getter, as in not much of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys were never worried about each other, is what you're saying.
Correct. I don't think Nuno was worried about me either. But boy, it was so much fun back in those days covering the team with those guys, because you didn't have to be on the beat 24/7 like the guys now. You could write your story, send in your matchup, your preview box, and then hit the bars. Go out to eat with these guys.
It's a different time, Jim. Well, I can hear the sound of people turning this off right now as we continue to talk about Nuno Damasio. We've got other things to talk about. All right.
Okay.
We've got the start time for the Mariners playoffs that has been announced. So game 1, if the Red Sox advance, it's 1:08. Why can't we just say 1 o'clock? Whatever. 1 o'clock on Fox, game 1. If the Yankees advance, it's 5:30. I'm not going to say 5:38. It's 5:30 on FS1. Game 2, no matter what, game 2 is at 5 o'clock on FS1. So the Seahawks remain there at 1 o'clock. So that's what we know. That's the very latest there for the start times coming up this week. We don't know who they're going to face. Obviously, Detroit's up 1-0 They got game 2 that's going on right now as we're doing the show. Regardless of what happens, you want them to go to a game 3, so they got to use more pitchers. But we got the start time. So Sunday is going to be nuts. You got the Seahawks at 1. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people now that are going to double dip, try to go to the Seahawks game and then the Mariners game. That should be fun.
How rich do you have to be to do that?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, a lot. I mean, Jesus, these playoff tickets are stupid. Ridiculous how much they are. But just that, in that area, it's a good problem to have because sports is fun and it's great to have all these places, that are all down there. But I'm just telling you, the one city that cannot handle this city. So Sunday, just be prepared for an absolute, utter traffic shit show. Because no city is more ill-equipped to handle something big than this city. So get ready for it.
All right. Can you answer me a question that maybe you've thought of yourself and have an answer to? Why does it make a difference with the Red Sox or Yankees and who advances on the start time for the game?
Why does it matter? Well, I don't know.
What?
I have no idea. Maybe because they probably, if the Yankees advance, they want the Yankees and Blue Jays to be in a better time slot.
Okay. Or maybe there's a conflict with,
I don't know,
with the Patriots game or something. Or no, that's a Saturday though. Yeah,
Saturday. I don't know. I would just assume that they want the Yankees and Blue Jays in a more primetime slot. So to have them at 5:30, that would be 8:30 on the East Coast.
Well, right now it's looking like the Mariners are going to face Detroit because the Guardian center fielder dropped a fly ball.
Well, it happens to the best.
It was in the sun, though. The sun looks like it's an issue there.
Happens. Focus here. I need you here.
Runners on first and second with nobody out for the Tigers.
Focus here. By the time people listen to this, you understand that it's over.
Okay. All right.
Focus right here.
I'd forgotten that.
On me. On me. Focus.
Okay. Yeah.
You're
going to be getting rid of me at 10:30 anyway, aren't you?
And that 10:30 can't come fast enough.
I know. And then we move on to Old Crimson. That'll be fun.
Then we're Old Crimson, where I go through the roster of Ole Miss, their offensive line and the defensive line, and just go, good luck. Good luck to the Cougs.
Well, they can plan for 2 weeks anyway, because we're off this week.
Yeah, no Divish today. I don't know when we're going to have Divish on, because usually Divish would be on at the bottom of the hour, but he is headed to T-Mobile because they've got Dan Wilson's talking, Julio's talking, Clubhouse is open. They've got their first of 2 scrimmages today that they're going to have. But he said he claimed that he left his house at 7:20 in Orting. And when he texted me at 9 o'clock, he said he was still 30 minutes out of Seattle. So apparently it's been a tough travel day there on the 5.
I heard a traffic report this morning. At one point today, it was 2 hours to go from Tacoma to Seattle. I love when living in Bend. I love hearing traffic reports from Seattle.
It's awful. It's so bad. That's why Sunday is going to be just so miserable for people who want to go down there.
Well,
you
at least they're
can.
staggering the start times, though.
It doesn't gotta matter. It doesn't matter at all. It's staggered. No, it does. It's not gonna help at all. It's not gonna help one bit. It's gonna be a train wreck.
And then once you finally get there, you're gonna see those signs that say $100 to park.
Not me. I'll get on. I'm gonna get my fat ass on one of those line bikes and line down. Be fine.
Good idea.
Good to go. Yeah, it's a good deal. 5 miles out. Just jump on one of those things.
Okay, wait a minute. Are you going to go to one of these games this weekend?
I'm going to the Mariners game.
How'd you get tickets?
It's called you go online.
How much did
you punched in? Well, I didn't get the tickets. The buddy of mine got them. So we're just paying them.
All right. And you paying like $300 per?
Right around there.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly what the final bill is, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be there.
Okay. Which one? Game 1?
Game 2.
Game 2. Okay.
What I just said.
So okay. Well, sorry, I'm a little distracted here. And
stop watching the game.
So you're going to see Scooble against Castillo.
Yeah, I guess if that's what the matchup is going to be. I just don't discount. I mean, I know others want to discount it. I don't discount that they would pitch him on short rest and go in game 1, but we'll see. I don't know what they're going to do. No one knows what they're going to do. Playoffs are a different animal. Just because guys have been doing something in the regular season and pitching every fifth day, that doesn't mean that's going to happen in the postseason. So whatever it's going to be, but likely probably you see Scooble. I think the bigger question is, what will the Mariners do? I mean, it's highly unlikely that Woo doesn't sound like Woo. Maybe we'll find out. We'll hear something today. What Woo's status is. Maybe they've even announced it now. But if Woo can't go game 1, we talked about this the other day. If I wouldn't start him, I would wait till game 3, me personally. And I know that sounds weird because he's been your best pitcher, but to me, it makes a hell of a lot of sense to have him go on the road opposed to having one of these other guys go on the road. To me.
No,
because the other guys have been bad on the road.
Yeah, Puck, I don't think you're alone with that. I think for me, I'm looking at the Gilbert, Castillo, and then Woo. And sure, you might get second guessed if Gilbert gets roughed up or if Castillo, whatever. But with Woo, you got to be cautious with him. You might get second guessed if you start Woo in game 1 and he doesn't pitch well. And if he doesn't pitch well, you're automatically going to assume because he's Brian Woo and he always pitches well that it has something to do with his pec. So you can't get around the second guessing if they don't do well. But I think you limit the second guessing if you go with Gilbert in game 1. He's your guy. And to your point, Woo's the best one on the road. So why not give him the extra time off, make sure that he's right, and then let him go in game 3. And then figure out what you want to do in the next series if you're lucky enough to win.
I mean, just the only worry of it is if he goes, how you look at, he goes game 3, then that's it. He's only going to pitch in one game. He's only going to pitch one game in that series. But you look at the splits. I mean, the splits don't lie. I mean, he has barely any difference. He's got a 2.44 ERA at home and it's 3.4 on the road. Rest of these guys, I mean, Castillo at home is a 2.60. Compared to 4.71. Gilbert's 2.24 compared to 4.74. Kirby's 3.38 versus 5.16. I mean, again,
are you concerned about Kirby at all in game 4? Because he's sure been good the last few outings.
He's been better. He's been better of late. So, I mean, I guess there's always a little bit of worry, but no, I think the way that he's pitched lately, I think he's turned around. I think they've all been better. So maybe the road thing isn't that big of a deal because they've all been better, here recently in terms of what they've done this year against these teams. I mean, if it is Detroit, Castillo's pitched great, has pitched really very well in those 2 games against Detroit, and both those times was against Scooble. He outpitched Derek Scooble in both those games. Cleveland, let's see, what did he do against Cleveland this year? I think he's only pitched in 1 game, but he pitched well in that game. They've all had pretty good numbers across the board. Cleveland, you could look at them. We've talked about this before. Yes, offensively, they don't do much, but they have something Detroit doesn't have. They can put a bunch of, lefties out there that has been, for whatever reason, the kryptonite with this starting staff. Gilbert's more equipped against left-handers than Castillo, but I mean, they've got 3 really good ones. And I really don't, I don't know if it matters that much how you shuffle the deck with those three.
Well, I agree with you, Puck. I don't see where you can go wrong. I mean, it's everybody's saying, nice problem to have. Gee, which you want to go with 1A or 1B? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you can make a case for all these guys. Castillo, for sure, you can make a case for with the veteran savvy, the veteran experience, been there before, all those kind of things. And he just looks unflappable out there.
Yeah.
I always get a kick out of it. You don't know if he's giving up 5 runs or has a no-hitter going. He just looks the same all the time. He looks so happy-go-lucky, carefree. When somebody comes out to talk to him, he's just like kind of smiling. And so yeah. I love his composure and demeanor out there. And then Gilbert, you feel good every time he goes out there, no matter if it's on the road or at home. I mean, all these guys, they got the best pitching staff in the playoffs. I mean, the Dodgers last night, watching that game, I mean, God, they damn near coughed up an 8-0 lead. I mean, the Reds were sitting there in a position where I'm thinking, Jesus, if they hit a home run here, it's going to be a game. I don't think the Mariners are going to be in that position with the staff they have and the bullpen they have.
You're right. I agree. And then if you go, here's the deal. If you go, whatever you want to do, let's say you go with, so who would you go in game 1?
Gilbert, just like you.
Okay. So you would go with Gilbert.
Yeah, Gilbert, Castillo, and Wu.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And then Kirby in game 4.
Yeah. All right. We agree. Case closed. Yeah. All right.
I talked to Jerry, and that's what he's thinking too.
You talked to Jerry Dipoto.
Tonto. They're all on board with. They're like, man, your baseball. Yeah.
He gave it. I don't know if it was an exclusive interview, if he talked to a bunch of other people, but Jerry Dipoto did talk to Daniel Kramer. At least that's where I read it. Was the place I read from Daniel Kramer, where he accepted some responsibility. He says he understands the criticism that came his way. He seems to get it. He seems to understand why guys like Jim Moore have been on his ass from day one. Says he's sorry.
What? Did he?
I don't think he said he was sorry.
Okay, I thought. What are they going to do? Are they going to do the Jimmy Rogers thing of not naming their starter until we'll let the Guardians find out on Saturday? Or
no, they don't have. But they don't have to do it today. They don't have to. When do they have to announce it by? They have to announce it by Friday, right? I don't think they don't have to do it today.
Okay.
They don't. There's no. I don't think. At least if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think there's any type of deadline that they need to do it by. Usually, it's the day before. Generally,
what would surprise you the most if they name Wu game 1 starter?
I think I'd be surprised. Yeah, I'd be surprised if Wu was game 1 starter, not because he hasn't earned it. Of course, he's earned it. I think I'd be surprised because of the uncertainty there with his pec injury and where he's at.
Well, yeah, because when was his last start? 2 weeks ago now, or a week and a half ago?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, here's what Dipoto said. You'll like this. He goes, if I'm being honest, this is the Daniel Kramer of MLB.com. If I'm being honest, whatever criticism comes my way, it's deserved. This team, it feels more complete. And if we fall short of our goals for how good we can be, it's not because we didn't have enough talent. It's just because baseball. But this team has a chance to be the last team standing, and that's pretty exciting. And hopefully we deliver on it. Jerry Dipoto. Daniel.
Well, don't you have to hand it to Jerry? I mean, honestly, like I don't like the guy, but I still think professionally speaking, the job that he's done. I mean, most of us in town thought he should have been fired like last year, 2 years ago, whenever, and he's hung in there in his 10th year. And now you look at that team that he's assembled, and then all that 54% stuff. You look at this team; it's not just this year; it's sustainable, just like Jerry told us he wanted it to be. I mean, this team, if it wins this year, is there a reason why they won't win next year? And I know you're going to say, yeah, they won't pay these guys to keep them. But still, the table's set for these guys to be a damn dynasty, isn't it? Isn't it set for that?
Okay, okay. See, I hate this. I don't like I don't like the position you're putting me in. I don't like it one bit.
Why? What did I do? Am I wrong? When you look at their team right now, I mean, the bots even like the Mariners. You see that AI projection? They think the AI guys, all those, guys that are make-believe people, They think
who is signed.
DraftKings had AI do a projection for this year's playoffs, and they have the Mariners winning. I mean, so even the bots like us.
Team could look a lot different next year, yes?
The team could look a lot different next year.
Okay, so let's say they don't re-sign Suarez and Naylor. Who fills in?
Well, Williamson at third. I don't know who at first.
Didn't they demote Williamson because he couldn't hit?
They demoted Williamson mostly because they acquired Suarez.
Because he couldn't hit, right?
He hit okay, but not for that position.
Okay, he
I mean,
did
you
not
need more than
well.
singles from third base.
Sure. Okay. And again, I'm a Ben Williamson fan. Okay, but okay, there's that. What do you do at first?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer
we
for that.
We would agree.
I'm just saying, I'm saying potentially this team is in position to, if they win the World Series this year, to repeat as World Series champions next year.
Wow, you've gone back. You've already gone to back World Series championships for a team who's never been to the World Series. Boy, you really are drinking the Dipoto Kool-Aid. Damn.
Well, I like Jerry now. Yeah, we're going to hang out together. In the offseason, he and I are going to hang out. We're going to mend fences and do all that.
I just, listen, I think it to be excited about, obviously, where they're at is great. I do think I want to see personally what they do in the postseason. To have any final judgment of what this season was.
You do?
100%.
Okay, well, we agree that it won't be a successful season if they don't make it to the World Series.
Right, that's my point. They get bounced there in the divisional round, then, I mean,
would that be Jerry's fault?
Well, yeah, it'd be everyone's fault, and he is part of the team. Of course it would be.
Well, I don't think it'd be. I mean, Jerry's put the pieces out there now that are good enough to win a World Series, and if they somehow get tripped up by the Guardians or the Tigers or the Blue Jays or the Yankees or whoever, the Red Sox maybe, then I don't really think it'll be his fault, because we all look at the team going, I mean, I would put more on Dan Wilson than Jerry Dipoto if you're looking to blame somebody if they don't come through. Well, why would you put it on Jerry over?
Because who it's the argument that we always get this. Who's more important? Who's more impactful building a baseball team? Is it the GM or the manager?
Okay, would you agree that they have the pieces to win the World Series this year?
Of course they do.
Okay, and what if they fall short of that? Who do you blame for that?
Well, ultimately, the number one people to blame would be the players.
Right. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, but I just think
because somebody's going to go over and be disappointing in this first series.
Yeah, I do think though, when you look at the totality of the season, you have to acknowledge that they did not. I mean, this team looked vastly different to start the season than where it is at now. Now, he gives full credit for what they did at the deadline. Point is just that to follow up even next season, to have this sustained success, they've got to keep those guys. Now, maybe it's not Suarez, but certainly for Josh Naylor, it's got to be number one priority and all that. I'm just saying for this year in particular, and we discussed this last week, they've got to do some damage in this postseason. They've got to get to the World Series. This, because of how they're constructed, because of how I think the rest of the American League is. I mean, let's be honest here, guys. They, with their talent, with where they were at, with the team they were chasing, they should have locked up the division a month and a half ago, not in the last week of the season.
Okay.
I mean, is that fair? I mean, they didn't have their best player all year long. They got two of their other best offensive players are gone. The little guy switched positions, and they had their starters ravaged by injuries, yet they won the division by 3 games. I'm just saying, like, that there were some things that were in their favor, and part of that was where Houston was at. Is that fair to say?
No, that's fair, Puck. But, I mean, looking back, I mean, clearly everybody knew that they needed a third baseman and they needed a first baseman. We knew that back in February. We didn't have to wait until, July to figure that out. Everybody knew that. But Jerry's hands are tied. And so I think we know that, too, that he couldn't go out and do things in the offseason that he would have wanted to do. Imagine being him and you're in a situation where you're thinking, hey, man, I'm on the hot seat this year. I got to make some big splash moves or I might be out of here. So anybody in that position would have done that if they would have been able to, but he couldn't do it because they had a budget and restraints on him. And
Sure.
And so the only time he could do it was at the trading deadline and get these rental players in here and giving up some prospects that nobody's heard of. And now you're in position to win the World Series. So,
and that's a worry to me. The worry to me is ownership stance on this, but we'll find out if they get through this, they win the whole thing, then we're going to find out, and we'll give them some grace period, obviously, if they go out and win the World Series. But you're right. They have as good a chance as anyone to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Don't you like to think that ownership might budge a little bit in the offseason this year if they win the World Series? See how cool that is? And then when they're looking at the bottom line on how much money they're making in these extra games they're having?
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Well, that's what a normal person would think, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but are they normal?
God, I just don't get the whole money thing with people. Like, what's your enough? I mean, is it never enough for some people? I don't get it. I mean, if I'm John Stanton, I want to be a legend in my hometown. Sure. I do. I want to be a legend in my hometown.
Yeah, but I'm going
to be the owner that wins the first World Series in Seattle.
But it's not just him. He's just the figurehead. He's got like 10 other people there.
Okay, the other people too, the other minority owners. I would feel the same way, but
maybe money's more important to them than winning. All right, I got to say goodbye, but actually people are going to see you because we're going to play our old Crimson podcast, talking Cougs here coming up next. Rob Staton coming up a little bit later in the show. No Ryan Divish today, but he may be coming out later. Divish was caught in the traffic on I-5. Shocker that there was bad traffic and he couldn't make it to T-Mobile for his appearance.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you later.
Buck. Yeah, take care. Go Cougs.
Yeah, there he is. Go Cougs. Jim Moore this Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays brought to you by a Clean Streak Brotherton Cadillac and also the Angry Beaver. We'll get into football later in the podcast with Rob Staton from SeahawksDraftBlog.com. We'll sprinkle a little bit more Mariners if we can. Of course, they're awaiting the winner between Cleveland and Detroit. And again, just a reminder, game 1 of the ALDS on Saturday first pitch will be at 1:08 on Fox if the Red Sox advance. If the Yankees advance, first pitch on Saturday, 5:38 on FS1. For Sunday game 2, 5 o'clock no matter what, FS1 Seahawks remain at 105. All right, let's talk a little Cougars football. Coming off a victory over Colorado State. They've got a bye this week. And then after that, they'll be taking on Ole Miss, ranked number 4 in the country. Old Crimson with myself, Jim Moore, Paul Sorensen, former All-American safety at WSU, all brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.
Fuck off.
All right. Well, we'll start right there. It's the Old Crimson, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Cougar owned and operated 6 amazing locations across the state of Washington. Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. They've got you covered. Date night, guys night, ladies night, large group events. It's the best place. You have a large group event, your business. You had, fantasy draft. You want to get a large group of people together. There is no better space and spot than Flat Stick Pub. How about a Mariners watch party? Flat Stick Pub. Great for the kids, and of course, great place to watch and celebrate the kids and Cougs. If I can get that in there, kids and Cougs and Mariners and everybody. FlatStickPub.com. Joining me every week, Paul Sorensen, former All-American safety at Wazoo. You can follow him on social media, Paul Sorensen28. And Jim Moore. When he's not on the Old Crimson, he's picking up trash on the side of the road. You can follow him at Cougs Go.
So I wasn't an All-American. I didn't do anything football-wise at Washington State. I just went to Moscow, Idaho, and hung out at the billiard den all the time, getting happy hour pitchers for $1. While Paul was, playing football and being a star, a national star.
I was drinking. I was drinking over in Moscow with you, Jim, just a few years after you. So it's okay.
Can you make sure you're leaning into the mic more? We can barely hear you.
There, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you're an All-American in your own right. You've got your own All-American status.
He does.
For what?
Just being an All-American Coug, right, Paul?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's a thing that he doesn't do well or attempts to, or at least tries to.
I think there's
nice try, Paul.
I think there's a lot there. Maybe there we can.
Hey,
are you
hunting, Jim, or did you help the kids across the street? What's up with the orange vest? Where did that come from?
No, I don't own a gun. Yeah,
okay, well.
I don't. I would cry if I shot a deer. Oh,
I would
God,
too. I'm not a very good shot either. I tried bird hunting, and the bird would fly by, and I'm going that direction. The bird's going that way. So I just, I'm not very good at that. So I join you on that front as well. I would not survive back in the Stone Age if we had to go out and get the food. Yeah. I would need somebody else to do that.
Well, if this was a hunting show, I'd have a follow-up, but it's called Old Crimson, where we talk Cougar football.
Hey, those fishing and hunting guys every Saturday morning, they do a good show, really.
Good. You tap into that a lot?
Not really.
Okay, well, that's good.
Boy, did we spin this thing off in a frickin' orbit right off the bat. Good Lord.
Well, when a team scores 20, when the score is 20-3 at half, and then nothing happens in the second half, there's not a lot to break down.
Defense.
Although so before we get there, let's get opening thoughts on the win of Colorado State. Jim, we'll start with you first.
Hey, I was excited about that. I really was, and I'm usually negative about the Cougs sometimes when they're not playing well, but I just was really encouraged to see how well we played being on the road. And to give up 3 points like that. I read something where Colorado State, it's the first time they hadn't scored a touchdown in a game. Maybe it was a home game since 2010. So a 15-year drought, and the Cougs going in there after the week before being at Martin Stadium, and we didn't even see the Huskies punter. And so, I was really impressed with the defense, and the offense was fine with Zevi. I know we didn't score in the second half, like you said, but all in all, I thought it was a great game.
On my side, actually, Jim, it was the Cougar defense that hadn't given up a touchdown since 2010, but that it doesn't matter. And by the way, it was 16 straight possessions because the Colorado team went down and kicked a field goal on their first possession. And then after that, the Cougar defense shut them down, and a couple of fourth down stops. They did a great job, and they actually tackled well in space. And they were in the same boat that Washington State was, where they had a quarterback that they benched that was the better passer, and then they brought a guy in that could run, but he couldn't pass his way out of a wet paper bag, and you saw what happened. And so tip of the hat to the Cougar defense. They got back to what they did at Idaho. They got back to the San Diego State game, where they basically were able to do some really good things. And let's give Zevi credit. That was his first win as a starting quarterback at Washington State. Lost in the Holiday Bowl game, lost in the Apple Cup. So his first win as a starter, so he's 1-2, in that front as well. And I think you see the difference of having Zevi Eckhouse as a starting quarterback, because when he's able to move, you saw that long run. Why? Because basically they had to play the quarterback. He was able to pitch the ball out or hand the ball off, and he was able to take right off and break a tackle, and then was gone. And that's the dynamic of the Jimmy Rogers offense. When you can open up the run, when you're able to run the ball, that opens so many different things up, but they're doing it opposite now. They're throwing the football to open the run up. They're doing it opposite of what they did at South Dakota State, where they could run the football, which would open the pass up. So give this coaching staff some credit. They're kind of going against what they were all about and going oppo, because this is an offense that really is not run-based, it's pass-based. So I was encouraged, and I love the fact that they were able to shove it. They blocked a field goal, too. The big fellow in the middle, Lamb, give him credit. He came right up the middle and tried to eat that thing. It looked like a cheeseburger, and he jumped all over it and had a blast. So, yay, way to go defense.
Well, and I think when you look at this game with Colorado State, and again, it's not, they don't get any points for this, and it's just the craziness that is sports, whether it's college football, NFL, baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. One team plays a certain way one week, but they're coming off an Apple Cup game in which it was a game until they got into the fourth quarter. This is a Colorado State team in the beginning of the year that scored 21 on Washington. It was tied at the half with them, and you hold them to 3 points. In that game, and you just do it with, was it a boring game? It was efficiently boring, though, because, this is what I think the script for this football team is going to be. I thought Adam Lewis at CougFan, at CougFan.com, did a great job of it, that this was and will be the blueprint of Jimmy Rodgers moving forward, the style of it. And I just totally agree with Adam's take on it, that you're going to see more of these games. It's not it's not the air raid. It's not high flying, throwing the ball all over the place. And in years past, I'll be honest with you, years past, if we were 20-3 at halftime with our air raid, I was nervous, because 17 points has gone like that. When you just sit there and throw it all around and have no regard for punting and field position, all that. But when I saw the score and thinking, all right, 17 at half, like the way that he plays and coaches and his style, his demeanor, I'm like, it's over. Like I don't have that sense of dread that I had in years past. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Yeah, no, it was just fun to watch a Cougar defense hold a team like that and getting fourth down stops. And I was just like you, Puck. I wasn't really all that worried in the second half, and I just the whole thing was impressive to me. The running game too, we got that going for the first time, so it was all great signs. Now, the only problem is that now you look ahead, you go, God, Colorado State, they're going to be part of that new Pac-12. And so I was thinking, okay, next year that bodes well for us, beating them and what it's going to be like next year. And maybe we'll win the conference, be the first conference winner when the Pac-12 is reconstituted next year. But, what we have on the horizon, which I know we'll get to briefly because it's a bye week and then we don't play Ole Miss until next week. But my God, we got to play Ole Miss and Virginia. I don't know what we're going to be saying after those games, but after that, the schedule lightens up, and we've talked about it. We think the Cougs are going to make it to a bowl game, and rightly so, given their schedule later on.
Well, let me just jump in there, Paul. Yeah, I mean, I don't think even the most diehard Coug fans aren't going to think, well, if we come away with a split here in the next few weeks, that'd be good. I mean, it's going to be maybe a hell of a test for them. I mean, they're facing the number as it currently is, I think, the number 4, number 24th team, I believe, in the country with Ole Miss and Virginia. But after that, you can easily have an argument that they can run the table.
I agree. Well,
I mean, you've got Toledo at home, at Oregon State, Louisiana Tech at home, at James Madison, and then you conclude with Oregon State. That gets you 8 wins. So, I think 7 to 8 wins is there. They'll make it to a bowl game, whether people feel the value of bowl games anymore. I mean, I don't, it's certainly for me personally has taken a huge step back, the importance of them, but it is important still to those kids, to that coaching staff, the practice time, all of it. There still is I think for them, most importantly, and I'm repeating myself, there's a cachet for the kids to get there and a reward for the coaches. And beyond that, if they get 7, 8 wins in year one of transitioning to a brand new staff and a brand new, ethos as a program and 75 new players, I mean, it's a massive successful season.
Well, Washington State's reloading.
Paul, go ahead.
Washington State's reloading, and how cool is that? I mean, that's never really a statement you hear, affiliated with the Cougs. And when they go into Ole Miss, they have a 1.6% chance of winning. If you look at ESPN indicator on that deal, but hey, it could happen.
That much, huh?
1.6% right now. Yeah, 1.6, and it'll probably 2.7.
Did you see a point spread on the game at all, Paul?
No, I haven't seen a point spread yet, but I saw the thing. I went, so I'm doing the Angels in the outfield. It could happen thing. But we're going to go to that game, and I'm going to sit up there and I'm going to cheer and I'm going to storm the field if they do win. I may be the only idiot out there doing that, and I may pull a hammy trying to get over the the shrubs that are kind of around the deal. I'll probably come out there with a bunch of bushes sticking out of my shirt. But I'm excited. I think it's great, and I love the opportunity that this team has to go in SEC country, ACC country with Virginia. Don't underestimate James Madison. They're really good too, and that's a tough place to play, and their fans are assholes going back there because they got a little chip on their shoulder. They're pricks. I've known people that have had to go into that stadium and play there because they got a little man's complex. So those 3 games those are going to be really tough for Washington State. But I agree with you guys. The other I've been there, guys. We're a little seasoned when it comes to going around the country and being at different stadiums. I know what some of these places are like.
I've never heard of Virginia fans being ripped like that.
Not Virginia, James Madison.
No.
The Virginia
Yeah,
people
James
are cool.
Madison.
When I think
fans
of
are
James Madison, I think of like Bethpage Black fans, Jim.
No, I'm thinking of Dolly Madison, the cupcake company. That's what I think of when I think of James Madison. So maybe maybe they've changed. Who knows? But it'll be fun. It'll be an interesting little month for Washington State, and then you throw Toledo and you throw Oregon State in there. Oh wow! So a lot of good stuff coming.
Okay, here's what's in store for them. Now I don't know if these guys play. I'm going to assume they do. Some of them. Jim and Paul, here are the height and weight of the defensive line for Ole Miss. Are you ready for this?
Oh, no.
Xavier Harris is 6'8", 330 pounds. Will Eccles is 6'3", 310. Jeffrey Rush, who's a freshman, by the way, is 6'1", 260. They have another kid is 6'1", 285, John Seaton. Tavion Prather is a 6'3", 280-pound senior. Jamarius Brown is a 6'2", 315-pound sophomore. Cameron Beavers checks in as a freshman, 6'3", 290. Caleb James, this is my doppelganger, 5'11", 300 pounds. Andrew Maddox checks in as a freshman, 6'4", 290. Cam Franklin, a DN, 6'5", 290. Deshaun Womack, a defensive end, 6'5", 265. That's their defensive line. We don't have one player that size.
Well, we'll rely on our quickness.
We'll be quicker.
Yeah, we'll just run. We'll run away from them.
Our quickness is gonna get them.
So think of Monty Python. Run away. That's what we'll do. We'll just run away. We'll run a lot of screens. Your bubble screen. We'll run the bubble screen a ton. We'll make them chase us. That'll be so exciting.
Yeah, they've never seen that before.
Nope,
their offensive line, 6'4", 320, 6'5", 330, 6'6", 315, 6'4", 310, 6'1", 270. That's a freshman, by the way. 6'6", 335, 6'6", 310, 6'6", 310. Another 6'6", 310.
You know what all that tells me? All that tells me is to lay the points.
Oh, man.
Hey, Paul, wait a minute. Okay, so
Devin
that all
Harper is
sounds...
a freshman. Devin Harper's a freshman. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. P.J. Wilkins is a sophomore, 6'5", 340 pounds. And the biggest guy in the offensive line, Percy Lewis, a senior from Solace, Mississippi, 6'7", 380 pounds.
No, he's a fat fuck. We'll
How do you know? You never even seen him.
We'll be okay. Well, if you're 6'7" and 380, you're a fat fuck.
You're not
How do you know?
sculpted.
Because if you're
definitely not
6'7", you shouldn't weigh 380. You're not that big boned.
How do you know? 6'7"?
I don't know, but you just told me 6'7", 380. That means he's fat.
I don't know. He could be. He could just be big.
Let me ask Paul something. I know you're the host of the show, but let me ask Paul something. I don't think you were, let's see, in 88, how old were you? 13? 1988, Puck?
How old was I in where? 1988?
1988.
I was 12.
Oh, you were 12. Okay. Paul, I know you were older than that, and so was
Barely,
I.
yeah.
And what I'm getting at is in 1988, we went to UCLA when they were the number one team in the country. Now, I know Ole Miss is number 4, but close enough for my comparison. And we went down there and beat the hell out of them. Well, we barely beat them, but we beat the hell out of them, okay? Is it possible that we could go to Ole Miss and do the same thing?
We were also 16th in the country, Jim. We also had the supplemental number 1 pick in Tim Rosenbaum. We had a guy that won 2 national championships as a head coach in Dennis Erickson, and we had 19 guys that got drafted off that team in some capacity. Might be a little.
Is that your way of saying no?
No, I'm just saying that it's a little different comparison, and I love you for bringing that up because that's a great thing. But I will say this: I'll make a different comparison. How about Virginia and Chaminade back in the day when Virginia was number 1 and they went to Hawaii and lost to Chaminade in basketball? You play the game for a reason. You never know. You're going to tell me that Ole Miss, when Washington State comes in, that Ole Miss is going to be focused on the Cougars? Who the hell are they playing afterwards? That's who they're going to be looking at.
Of course not. Of course they're not going to be focused on them.
And the fact that basically
don't even know where they're at.
They see 2 59-point games, with the Cougs. They're going, oh, these guys will show up. They'll be. This is the body bag game that they've been waiting for. Yeah. And the Cougs have a week off. They can get healthy and they can do some things that way. And this is going to be a tough out, but who cares?
It's a letdown spot for Ole Miss too. It's a letdown spot. They just played LSU. They're not going to be all that fired up to face us.
The next week after Washington State, the very next week, they're at Georgia. and then at Oklahoma. So I'm just kind of thinking that maybe not a lot of game planning for Lane Kiffin against the Cougs on the 11th.
Yeah, but Lane Kiffin's smart enough to know.
They got to deal with Zebby,
he spent a little time on the West Coast. He's not going to let that happen. He's not going to let them fall asleep on this. Yeah. But getting into the grill of 6'7", 380-pound guy, thinking, who the hell are these Washington State boys? We'll crush them. So we'll see.
What would be considered a good loss for us in that game?
Under 30.
Under 30 points? I know. I was thinking 20.
Yeah, probably right in there.
All right.
Something like that.
Think we can hold them to 3 points? Like Colorado
Probably.
State?
Hey, I'm looking at this Percy Lewis. He's not what you think he is.
He's not a fatty?
No.
Oh, boy.
I'll
if that guy's 380 pounds and he's sculpted, then Zebby better.
I'm not going to say he's like...
You know, like those surfers when they're surfing the big waves and they hit the waves, they have those inflatable vests. So if he gets hit, maybe he can pop up and have one of those little rubber things that kind of help him from hitting the ground too hard. That might work. Like a little life vest.
I mean, it just a different level of just player and athlete down there.
I know.
It's just not remotely the same to what we see out here on the West Coast.
Well, ask the Huskies what they thought of Ohio State's defense. The level of a national defensive team, when you see the level of athlete that the top, there's really 10, maybe 12 teams nationally that can compete for a national title. The dudes that those guys have, they're just different. The money buys a different guy.
For sure.
And that's what you get.
Absolutely.
And you get that in the SEC trenches. The offense and defensive linemen are NFL quality guys. And you don't understand that until you play against them. You're going, okay, I get it now. I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you saw it. I mean, just to spin off into that UW-Ohio State game, I think what you saw, Damon Williams last week able to get out of so many tackles and use his athleticism against Wazoo. He couldn't do that against Ohio State. He couldn't run away from their linebackers. It's just a different level of Ohio State, blue chip, 5-star, and then South Dakota State.
Yeah.
And I'm not bagging on the South Dakota State kids. I'm just saying it's way different. So,
but the South Dakota State guys were able to tackle the Colorado State guys. So the level you see, national championship guy, Washington State guy, South Dakota State guy. There's a level. There's a pecking order now, and it's separating quicker than you've ever seen. So we're actually situating ourselves with the new Pac-12. That we can compete. So I'm buoyed by that. I like that we've kind of found our wheelhouse from that perspective moving forward.
Well, Jim, you would agree with this. I mean, just looking at where we're at in the looking ahead to the new world. I mean, look at Oregon State. I mean, right now, Wazoo is in a much better spot as of now than where Oregon State is.
Yeah, boy, the Beavs, man. I feel bad for them and their fans, and we're not really hearing the chainsaw. And they found a way. I mean, losing teams like that, they find a way to blow games. And Oregon State had a 14-point lead the other night against Houston and ended up losing that game in overtime. They should have finally won that game. So, yeah, I feel for them. But, yeah, we are a little beyond where they are. I'm just hoping they don't find their footing enough to split games with us this year. But I was just sitting here thinking, well, Paul was rambling on about whatever he was rambling on about. When was the last time we went into a game? And I know that our program's no great shakes, overall, but we've reached a point where usually we go into a game thinking we can possibly win if things break right for us. But this game, we know we have no shot. When was the last time we had a game like that? It's been a while, hasn't it? I mean, has it been since Paul Wolf that we went into a game knowing we had no shot?
Yeah, I think you have to go back to the Wolf years.
You just went on a whole diatribe of 88. And now you've come back around that they have no shot?
Yeah, I have come back around. I mean, I'm going to take the points and bet.
You really are playing both sides here, aren't you?
Wow.
Yeah. They kind of cover both sides.
Well, that's going back to 88. I mean, that's, however many years ago.
That may have been one of the better Jim Moore waffles that I have seen. That's impressive, Jim. I've not seen that's a ping pong ball in a freaking typhoon move right there. Right back at you, pal. Nice job. Double finger, 2 for 1 at Walmart.
We'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, right. No one's expecting them to win at all. How will they play? How will they show up? How will they compete? I think that's how you got to judge them. And we can talk more about that next week. But I just think in the last 2 weeks for me, I wanted to see how Jimmy Rogers and this team would look coming out in the Apple Cup. I think they were competitive. They took a big step from where they were the week prior to it, and they needed to follow it up with Colorado State, and they did that. I just think he's learned some lessons along the way, and I think as all coaches grow, they all learn, and he hasn't. I mean, here's the thing with him: he's been around football his entire life, obviously from a player, then going on and being an assistant there. But this is his 3rd year as a head coach.
Yeah,
he hasn't been a head coach all that long, and so I think that how they evaluated whatever they thought coming out of camp and how they handled Potter and how they handled Zevi Eckhouse, and I don't know I'm forgetting who the color commentator was on the telecast, but it was either him or Rich Walt said, maybe the thought process of going into it was with Potter is that they were going to be able to run the football a little bit more, and thus if they ran the football more, they'd have to commit more guys to the line of scrimmage. And with Potter's arm, it's a more of an NFL arm than what Eckhouse has, that they would be able to take advantage more in the passing game. Well, when they realized they couldn't run the ball, they had to go back to Zevi. I mean, clearly Zevi does not have the arm that Potter does, but what he does have is what they've had at that South Dakota State, and what that offense has run is a guy that can use his legs as well as throw the football, and he's got a little. You go back to some of those air raid quarterbacks. I mean, the way he distributes the ball. He doesn't just focus in on one guy. He gets the ball around to many different places, Paul, and then also uses his legs. I mean, how many times did they run that play where it looked like it was going to be a quarterback power, but he has the option to throw off that? I mean, that's a play they never could run with Jackson Potter.
Well, I love the tight end touchdown. He had everything going to the right side. That was a great play. In fact, Pat Beach ran that in the Holiday Bowl twice on a 2-point conversion and a touchdown against BYU, where you get everything going, flowing right. He blocks, he chips on the tackle, and then he just slides across the field. There was nobody there. He hadn't seen that all season. So I give credit to the staff, and I think there's a maturation process with the quarterback and with the head coach. Puck, you nailed it. He's maturing as a coach at the FBS level. He's growing as well. He's maturing as well. He's starting to figure this thing out, and he's kind of coming into his own. And we've talked about this. This is a one-off year for this football program rolling into 26. Okay. There's no leak here. And again, the barnstorming tour, continues in SEC country and then ACC country and wherever the hell they're going to go, after that. I mean, we're playing Oregon State twice. This isn't baseball, but that's what they're doing. They're playing, our Pac-2 team 2 times in one season. So give them some kudos for figuring stuff out and having the chutzpah to basically make a change during the season, admit maybe that wasn't the right decision, put Zevi in there, which he should have been in there from the get-go, and let the kid go make plays. And he's making plays. And this is a better football team with Zevi Eckhouse at quarterback.
And it just goes into leadership, Jim. And I think one thing you can see is how he commands the huddle, how he commands his team, pregame. There is that. He has that it factor. We never, right, Jim? You can never define it, but you know what it is. And
I was just sitting there thinking, yeah, Puck, I was thinking about that word that we don't use very often. It's moxie. I like that word, and it needs to come back a little bit. But with Zevi, you get some moxie out there, and he definitely, we can see, and we don't have to rehash. Why didn't he start him at the beginning of the year? Let's just go from this point forward and know that he's the right guy. And Rogers basically, probably admitting to his staff and admitting to Zevi that he might have made a mistake with him. Sure, and so it's all good.
And that's
from
important.
Here.
And that's important, Jim. Right? Because I mean, he could have been a coach or staff that just buried their head in the sand and didn't want to admit it. And that would have been worse.
Yeah. And so, you can tell all the kids are behind him, and clearly we have a better chance of winning every game when he's at quarterback. So, it's been fun to watch the evolution of where we're headed, and you guys make good points too about the coach. I mean, he's on the job learning too.
Okay, so one thing we can talk about next week, or if we can briefly touch on it here. What the decision not to stay out there. Paul, would you stay out there? Because they're not going to do it. They're going to go to Ole Miss. They're going to fly back. Then they're going to fly back to Virginia.
If they had the money, I would have stayed. I would have. I think you could have made a really cool deal where maybe you could have taken in the sites, Washington, D.C., or, gone and kind of done a little East Coast trip, maybe gone to Gettysburg or done, made a little historic thing there. I think that would have been a really, really cool thing for this school, for these guys to have a little historic, thing tied into it. Since it is a barnstorming deal, I would have used it as a historical, opportunity. That's what I would have done. But I get it. With the money, everybody's trying to save a couple of shekels. I think they missed out on an opportunity. I would have spent a week back there. My opportunity, that's what I would have done.
Wow.
Well, aside from the historic stuff, which would have been great too, Paul, I like the idea of the team being together for a week and bonding on the road like that.
Yeah.
I think that would have been helpful, but they see it otherwise. Maybe it was a money thing, or maybe they just wanted to get back to Pullman and practice, at home. I don't know, but it sure seems like it makes more sense to have stayed back east.
It almost just think from a money standpoint, it would have made more sense to stay there. I mean, the cost of flying back and doing all that, I don't know. I just think
you're talking 100+ people putting up for a week in a hotel, 3 meals a day, all the transportation, that adds up pretty quick. I mean, So,
well, that's why we have you, Paul. You could have just helped out, and
they would have been eating hot dogs, and we'd have had to raid a couple of garbage bins to find Taco Tuesday night to help out there. So I don't know how healthy that would have been food wise. So don't rely on yours truly. You wouldn't have had very good food. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, we got to go. Jim is off to go get some quail hunting. We'll reconvene next week just to preview Ole Miss and see if their players have gotten any bigger in a week, and maybe we should get an Ole Miss correspondent on. How afraid are you of Washington State? I remember the last time we played it.
1.6. That's. I
remember going down to the Auburn game the first time they visited Auburn. And I remember going to a liquor store, and the guy's like, "Hey, so where are y'all from? We from Seattle." He looks at us like dumbfounded. He goes, "Huh? Y'all drove down here just to get beat?" We're like, we flew in an airplane, and it delivered us to Atlanta. Yeah. We didn't drive here. You understand that?
Does that guy know that we were ahead in the third quarter in that game?
He did not at the time, Jim, because it was before the game.
We had the tight end from Bellingham, I think, or who was that? He had 2 touchdowns in that game.
Cody something. Cody.
Was it Cody Clemens?
No.
That was a tackle.
Cody Barton. No.
I was in the press box at the time, and I was just sitting there going, Jesus Christ, we might win this thing.
What is his name?
Auburn fans are great too, by the way. I love those Auburn.
Yeah, they were.
Tailgating was unbelievable. What a cool
tailgating was great. The frickin' eagle soaring ahead and then dives down right on the handler's arm. It's freaking awesome. The whole thing. And this is for everyone that's going to go to that Ole Miss game. I'm so upset I'm not going to go. That's going to be awesome. Good for you, Paul. Way to go. Yeah. Get after it. All right, we'll talk more about that next week. Thanks, boys. Another edition of Old Crimson in the books, brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Again, Cougar owned and operated, 6 great locations across the state: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. It is a great place. I mean, great place for large group events, and it's also a tremendous place to watch the Cougs with your kids and your friends. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. Again, there it is, Old Crimson for you every single week. If you missed any of that, that's up on the podcast, up on YouTube. Also, you can find it part as the Daily Puck Drop there on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Of course, they have a bye this week, and then it is off to Oxford, Mississippi, where they've got an offensive lineman that is 6'7", 380 pounds. Godspeed to you, Cougs, in a couple of weeks as they take on Ole Miss. All right, we got some news on the Mariners. We'll get to that just a little bit on the status of Brian Wu coming up here at the end of the show, right before Hey, What the Puck. But we got to transition to football because every Wednesday we talk NFL and Seahawks with our good friend from across the pond. It is Inside the Bloody Trenches with Rob Staton from SeahawksDraftBlog.com. All brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Here we go. It's Inside the Bloody Trenches with Rob Staton from SeahawksDraftBlog.com. You can read all of his work there. Also follow him on his YouTube page, Rob Staton Football, and on social media, Rob Staton. Brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Alpha, Rogers Pilsner, and their new Tavern Beer. Tasting room and beer garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Well, I mean, it feels like 10 months ago that they played a football game and they beat Arizona. And now it's like I don't even really want to recap the game other than, hey, they won, they moved on, they survived thanks to Arizona's dumb kicker, even though it's a stupid rule. But hey, a victory is a victory, even though it looked sloppy in the second half. I don't know how much time Rob Staton, you want to spend on the Arizona game, but we haven't talked to you since then. So give me a Cliff Notes reaction to that.
Well, look, for three and a big quarters, they were by far the better team. And if it wasn't for, and this is probably the one biggest issue I've had with the Seahawks season so far, is that in 3 games now, they've not got out of their own way. The play calling and the game plan against the Niners, I think, made it harder for them to win that game than there was necessary. Against the Steelers, they were trailing by 7 points at halftime when they should have been up by at least 7. And that was a closer game than it needed to be because they dominated that. And then against Arizona, if you take the Jackson Smith and Jigba holding penalty, which took the Zach Charbonnet touchdown off the board, if you take the missed field goal from Jason Myers, if you take the two defensive drives at the end of that game, which give Arizona an unlikely chance to try and win it, that would have been an absolute hammering, akin to the Saints game. So as long as they can just stop doing that, as long as they can stop sort of getting in their own way, this is a really good football team, and they are going to win a lot of football games. I'm waiting for the game where we're perhaps having a slightly different conversation and we're saying they should have won that one. I really hope that's not going to come. I don't necessarily think the Niners game was that. I think the Niners were the better team on the day. But I hope that, for example, this Sunday, they're not going to be the best team for 3 quarters and find a way to lose.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You start looking at the NFC West right now. If you were to handicap it, despite them losing to San Francisco, but if you ranked them, if we're doing college football, how would you rank the NFC West right now?
I've not really watched the Rams enough to sort of determine whether they're better than the Seahawks. I know that either they were very lucky to beat the Colts. Obviously, A.D. Mitchell had that ridiculous. Why does this keep happening where the players are going into the end zone and they celebrate too early? And what's the need to drop the football, Puck? Why do you have to drop a football? Why does that just keep the football in your hands? Do something else. Attach it to your groin if you have to, like Shane Lowry with the Ryder Cup trophy after the Europe had won against America. I was going to bring that up.
It's too early.
Have you seen what he was doing with the trophy?
Yeah, afterwards? I saw it. I've seen everything. I've devoured Team Europe and social media. We're going to get to the Ryder Cup eventually.
So
get there.
Place the football there if you need to. Just don't drop the ball. And yet he does. So that the Rams win a game they shouldn't have won. They had a very similar game to Seattle's against Arizona against the Eagles, where they dominated for 3 quarters, then threw it away. So it's hard to sort of really get a feel for what the Rams are. The Niners just look, without Nick Bosa, they just don't look the same. And are the Cardinals the Cardinals? So I think it's probably very close between the Seahawks and the Rams, and I need a bit more time to determine who's actually better.
Yeah, and then the Niners dealing with their host, their own injuries besides Bosa. You got Purdy's banged up, in and out of the lineup, so they're obviously a wounded team. I thought this before the season. It really has hammered home even more now. I gotta hate the schedule. I just hate that we don't see the Rams until November, the mid-November. Like, it's just dumb. You get the Niners at the beginning and at the end of the season. Then you get the Rams. I mean, they play them twice, November 16th and then December 18th. And I just don't like because I want to see the Rams. I want to see more, them face a division opponent, earlier in the season. But yeah, it's a very competitive. Obviously, the injuries where the Niners are benefiting Seattle. You knock on wood, and Seattle hasn't had too many debilitating injuries as of yet. What do you make, though, of what came out, I believe, Sunday morning from the insiders? And the insiders are comprised of the three musketeers that are Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero, and our guy Mike Garafolo, saying, and it was, how it was written. It was obviously put out there on purpose. Anybody that's ever been in this industry understands when these things come out, there's a reason they're out there. And essentially just summarizing what they said, that, hey, listen, Riq Woolen's going to be available. Teams are calling. Teams are, hey, can we get Riq Woolen? Now, there's a reason it's out there, and it's not too hard to figure out that Seattle wants it out there, that they would make him available. November 4th, I believe, is the trade deadline, and it feels very likely that he's going to be dealt before then. What happened to Riq Woolen?
I think what happened to Riq Woolen is he has obviously got the physical tools to be excellent, and having had a great rookie season, I just don't think he has handled that well. I think it's sort of, he has felt maybe since then that he's on this trajectory. And if we remember, after that rookie season, it was Riq Woolen and Sauce Gardner who should be defensive rookie of the year, comparing those two players. And neither of those players has progressed since their rookie seasons. It's almost as if they've not, for whatever reason, been able to take the next step. They have both struggled. And then Sauce Gardner still got paid, and I think he's got the payment simply because he's a high pick and a big name, really. It's kind of a reputational new contract. And Riq Woolen obviously thinks that I would guess, thinks that he was sort of on that trajectory as well. And yet his play is absolutely frustrating because he is very capable of good plays, but he's also very capable of careless technique, giving away penalties, getting beat, not playing physically enough, switching off, coasting along. And I think Mike Macdonald marked his card a year ago. I think a year ago, Mike Macdonald was probably done with Riq Woolen and thinks this is not somebody that I can win with. And I think they've kind of stuck with him longer than others because he's cheap and because there's a lot of talent there. And there's always that hope that you can turn this around. And I think they've just come to the end of their tether. I think they have had enough and they are prepared for him to go and play somewhere else now. And I did hear a few suggestions as to what the Seahawks might get or what. I don't know if they're going to get anything, Puck. I mean, this is a guy who I keep making this point. I've not heard anybody else mention it. This guy fell to the 5th round. He was not somebody who was expected to go in the 5th round. He was supposed to be a 2nd round pick. He fell to the 5th round. The league decided we don't want Riq Woolen. And nothing apart from that rookie season, which was 3 years ago, will have changed those opinions. If you didn't want Riq Woolen as a rookie on hardly any money in the 3rd or 4th round in 2022, why would you trade anything for him now when you have to pay the guy if you want to keep him after this season? You are going to, at best, get, I think, a throwaway late round pick for Riq Woolen. And I'm not sure that anybody's going to be jumping at the chance to trade for himself.
Yeah, I just think from their point of view, I think we agree on this one. It's not about what they get in return. It's about just getting moving on from him. I just think that whatever has transpired on the field, off the field, there's just not a want to with him. That there is just not an aggressiveness to how he plays. There's a lack of physicality. It's just not there. And it's whatever it is, whatever has happened to him. I don't know. I mean, only he would know. Michael Shandugar is on with me every Monday. And I agree with Mike. Listen, I think he wants to be very good. And I think there's a difference between you wanting something and actually going out and doing it and doing what it takes. And for some reason, he just hasn't been able to do what it takes to be that player. He's got an immense talent. Hopefully he figures it out wherever, if it's here or it's a next stop for him. But they've options. They've got options there. I mean, the Kendrick guy has played amazing. I mean, he would be someone they would elevate up into even a bigger role. I mean, the thing with Woolen, he's already been replaced as a starter when they go to 2 corners anyways. I mean, a lot of that credit should go to Job for how well he's played. And a lot of credit for them listening to offers for him or wanting to move on from him is the play of Kendrick, who was just thrown away by, was it the Rams? He was just thrown away by the Rams. And those guys, when you watch those guys play, they play like the hungry player. They play like the guy who understands that tomorrow's the last day they may ever play in the NFL. And that's the type of mentality you love to have football players go with every time they step on the football field.
I think Riq Woolen has probably received one or two of these, what I would call a kick up the arse, and has not responded to it. I don't know if I think I mean, everybody wants to be great. I don't think he realizes what he needs to do to be great. I think he knows that he's got the talent, but has not got that sort of. He needs a wake up call. Maybe getting traded to somewhere else for nothing is going to be the wake up call. I don't think he realizes that what a major opportunity he's blowing here. Like, he's going to cost himself millions for not just switching on. Yeah. Come on. Like, this should have been the season where we saw the absolute 100% all-in dedicated best. And look how he started the season. And look, he's not been a disaster zone since then. He's not as if every week he's a... But you just get to the Cardinals game and there's the 2 penalties late on, and you're thinking, you're too quick to have to pull that defender back there. Just use your recovery speed, man. You're going to get flagged anyway for the massive play downfield. Give yourself a chance and back your athleticism to go and make the play. But he doesn't. He gives the flag away. And the ones in the red, like, it's come on, man. And he's not done it. And it's hugely frustrating. The other thing I would say is, I don't know why I did this, Puck. I did this actually last Wednesday before our last conversation. And I was waiting for my kids to pick them up. And I ended up sort of rereading a lot of the stuff I wrote around the time that Carroll got fired. And I ended up reading an article that was talking about Mike McDonald's credentials as a potential head coach. And one of the things really stuck out for me in that piece that I wrote, and it was to highlight who was playing cornerback for the Ravens. So they had Marlon Humphrey, and what I wrote, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but this is basically what it said. They've had Marlon Humphrey, and they've basically just plugged converted safeties in at cornerback across from him. And that's what they did. The Ravens did not have, like, great cornerbacks. They had 1 first-round pick, and the other players in the slot or across from Humphrey were just guys that they plugged in and coached up. And that was one of the reasons that it was such a positive thing. Look what he's able to do. He's elevating young players. He's putting them in different positions, and they're working. I think that Mike McDonald and Carl Scott think, look at what we've done with Job. Look at what we're doing with Kendrick. Maybe we can do it with Nehemiah Pritchett. Maybe we can just go and get somebody else in there. Maybe Nick Emmanwori can even play a little bit of cornerback or something. He's fast enough. We've got all these guys. We can make this work with players. We don't need to have this player who we feel is quite unreliable at this point, and we're not going to pay him. So we're going to ask him to go away.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what role and how they use Nick Emmanwori when he comes back. Sounds like all the signs are positive that for this weekend there against Tampa Bay, and it's a guy that we haven't even seen. I can't even remember how many plays he was in that opener before he exited, but you basically haven't seen him all year long. And that's been, for the side of the ball that has been great this year. I mean, the offense has been good, but there's been some up and down inconsistencies. I think we all can agree with the running game. It still hasn't popped, I think, to the level that they want. Stats certainly bear that out. I mean, they're middle of the road in terms of how many yards they average. They're really actually bad in terms of yards per carry. I mean, they're 28th in the NFL in yards per carry, and I think around 18, 19 in rushing yards overall. But the defense, and again, the only stat that should ever matter to anyone is just points per game. They're 16.8. That is third best now in the NFL. Total defense, they're keeping teams under 300 yards at 13th, 6 against the run. But that defense has been the story so far in the first 4 weeks of the season, Rob. And now they get Emmanwori back to add to that defense.
Yeah, I think it has been a very good defense so far. And I think there's still more to come. I think that the pass rush has got another step to go. And, it was great to see Chenna Nwosu getting a couple of sacks because those edge rushers have not been getting the sacks so far. I do wonder if that's an area that they might look at before the trade deadline, maybe. But they need a bit more production from those guys. So I think there's a bit more to come there. I'd like to see them go out and see if they can maybe add another linebacker. That worked very well for them last year. And there's, you're sort of seeing some of these names being mooted as teams sort of get into there's more and more in the NFL these days that the bad teams seem more open-minded about just sort of moving players on and getting draft picks and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be some opportunities there in the coming weeks. I also think the story of the season, I have to say, I think is increasingly Sam Darnold. Like, just what a fantastic performance. I wrote a whole piece about how stupid the PFF grades were after the Arizona game, because it infuriated me that they felt that was his worst performance of the season by some distance per his grade. I thought it was his best performance of the season. And I just, the way he's attacking downfield, he has just played with a calm, composed, measured approach to everything. He's running the offense. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. I think he looks absolutely fantastic. And in a week where Geno Smith threw another 3 interceptions, all awful, and you're seeing Sam Darnold playing the way that he is, I think increasingly you have to say to John Schneider, what a flipping swap that was. I mean, like, for value and for the trade and for the younger player, like, it just, touche to John Schneider. That might be one of the best moves he's done in a long time, many years.
You don't want to get too far ahead, because they got Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is going to come into town. This is a good football team. Defensively, they're playing real well. I mean, we just brought up the running game. I mean, now they're going to face a team that is better than them against the run. I think it's like around 85 yards a game that they give up. Baker Mayfield's playing good football. But the best storyline of this game coming up on Sunday is, boy, if you like uniforms.
As you going to go to the uniforms. I knew it. Yeah.
God, beautiful. It's just, frame it. Wait till they come out in those creamsicles. Seahawks come out in their old school uniforms. I mean, it's going to bring a tear to my eyes. Can't wait to watch it. And it's better. And it's a game that it would be better to be at home to watch rather than there. You want to see it on the TV where it pops and sparkles. Can't wait. God, I love those uniforms. I know the Buccaneers have had no success in them, but who cares? God, and they're so gorgeous. Love it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why the Seahawks are resisting just going with them all the time. I mean, I'm not. I know some people are. This is just a personal opinion. I'm not. I hope people will grant me my opinion, but I think the sort of the navy blue and grey pants is a horrendous look, and they've worn that for 50% of the games so far. And I think if you're going to wear that combo, you might as well just wear the bloody throwbacks, because they're so much better. That is a better blue and grey or silver, whatever. That is a better combo than what we've seen so far. And they just look like they are a top, look within the NFL.
Yeah.
So just go back to it. And like you say, I really like the Buccaneers, this white version that the Buccaneers are going to wear. I really wished that the Seahawks would have come out with a white version of the throwbacks to wear on the road. And
aren't
just
they,
though?
Wasn't there something months ago? Aren't they wearing it? Aren't they wearing the white road at some point?
No, it was rumors, and the announcement never came. Obviously, they brought out this...
the rivalry
rivals
that everyone's up in arms about because they look like the Ducks.
Yeah, and I liked it. I think it looks better on the players than it does in the stores. But I don't think it looks like the Ducks. But I just think, look, let's just go back to the old, the throwbacks, and they look the best. And like you say, just when you watch it on the TV, it's a shame I'm not going to be able to watch this as much live because I'm doing the Chargers Commanders for the radio over here. But it's such a good look. It's just going to be. I hope it's sunny. I think it's going to be sunshine this weekend. I've heard.
Yeah, it's been kind of miserable, but I think it does pop out on Sunday. I mean, you do know it's a busy day on Sunday. We got the Seahawks game at 1:00 and then a Mariners playoff game at 5. Place is going to be bananas.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, that is fantastic, and I hope that there's 2 wins going on Sunday as well.
So do I. I think everybody does. What was I going to ask you? No, I think we covered it all. All right, let's get to final thing for you. It has nothing to do with football, but this is perfect. I want to know from thousands of miles away across the pond,
Yeah.
What was the Ryder Cup reaction in Europe and in England for just how the behavior was and all of that?
I'd say it's probably the biggest. It made all the headlines over here in England over the weekend. It was the thing that dominated the news agenda, aside from obviously the golf. And I think it annoyed a lot of people. I think a lot of people were enjoying the fact that for 2 days at least, Europe were hammering the American team because of that reaction. And look, over here, we're not shrinking violets when it comes to sport. If you go to a soccer game over here, you will hear some really bad language and abuse at the players and stuff like that. That is part of English soccer. So it is a little bit hypocritical, I suppose, to some extent. However, golf just feels different. Golf has been a sport where, and especially with the Ryder Cup over the years, yes, the fantastic competition, the players, especially the European players over the years, have taken this very, very seriously. I remember Colin Montgomery effectively saying, "This was my major." Sort of winning the Ryder Cup, captaining it was my major, and a lot of them feel that way. They take it very, very seriously, but it was always done in the right kind of spirit. And some of the things, some of the stuff said at Roy McIlroy and some of the the other players for Europe, it just feels a little bit like, come on, guys, let's just rein this in. And also, it wasn't funny. Like this, you can have a bit of banter. Like one of my favorite pieces of banter was when England play Australia in the cricket, England had a player called Stuart Broad, and Puckett was a very pretty man, a very pretty male player, and the Australian fans would sing, and his name was Stuart Broad. So they would sing, Broady, dude looks like a lady. And they would sing that in the crowd. And it was funny. And he found it funny. And we all found it funny. And it was kind of like some of the stuff that they were chanting in that, it just felt like it crossed the line. So, yeah. and a shame really, because it's for me, the Ryder Cup is, I don't know about you, Puckett, it's one of the top 5 things in sport, like to watch. Maybe it's a European thing. I don't know. I love it.
I love it.
Ryder Cup. It's great. And I heard the PGA guy saying afterwards that all this kind of stuff happened in Rome. It didn't happen in Rome. Like they may be booing and cheering and stuff like that, but the European fans are not this way. And I really hope that when it comes to Ireland in 2 years, this doesn't. The fans over here don't go, right, it's our turn for a bit of revenge. I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope.
Yeah, because there's just a difference. I mean, I think that's what comes down to sports fans. There are, there are football fans, American football, then there's European football fans, golf fans. I know there's crossover, but there is a different group there, and how you're supposed to act at an event. And that is different than those other sports. And what we saw last week was something that does unfortunately bleed into other sports that you see in both footballs, and you see at times maybe even in basketball. And it crossed the line, and it really stained what was, honestly, a pretty incredible few days. I mean, a dominance from Europe in the first 2 days, and an incredible individual comeback by the Americans on Sunday that they nearly pulled it off, and that should have been the storyline.
Did you think they were going to? I mean, I was broadcasting on the Chiefs Ravens, and my producer was watching the golf and basically effectively commentating in my ear when the sort of the putts were taking place on every hole, and we were saying they're going to blow this. Like, was there ever a feeling in your mind that America were going to win?
I mean, I think there was a lot of people. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I mean, because they're better individual players than they are team players. That's the thing. As individuals, they're great. It's the problem with them is when they have to team up. That's where Europe always has the advantage on them. I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't understand why that's such a problem for them. The culture, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But they're just bad at the team aspect of it. But once it gets into the individual matches, they thrive.
Very quickly, there was this. I listened to this person describe. Europe did a lot of data analysis on this, and for example, their decisions on the pairings and stuff was very interesting. like America, I can't remember who it was. One of your players had never played foursomes before, and yet he was thrown out there with Mullen. He was thrown out there with Morikawa. I just basically
Harris English.
Yeah, terrible like idea to put these two together.
Yeah,
whereas like Europe had spent so much time like meticulously planning who goes with who. Europe had 8 rounds of 18 holes before I think the Americans did 2 9-hole rounds and before it began, and little things like that. The preparation is just on a different level. But the problem is that Europe have spent the last 48 hours telling the whole world what their plans were ahead of this World Cup. So you better believe that America's going to do all that stuff for 2 years.
We'll see. All right, Rob, great to catch up with you. Enjoy all the action coming up this week. Good luck on the call, and we'll talk to you next week. We'll see if the Seahawks get another victory over Tampa Bay, and then we'll look ahead to a very highly anticipated game with Jacksonville. I didn't think the Jacksonville game was going to be one that we would talk about when it came around to them. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Go check out Rob's work again at SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Also find him on YouTube, Rob Staton Football. Follow him on social media, Rob Staton. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, Rob.
See you soon.
And again, his Rob's weekly appearance brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Alpha, Rogers Pilsner. Their brand new tavern beer tasting room is open all day long, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then in case you missed any of the Inside the Bloody Trenches with Rob Staton, that will be up on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, once the show is complete. All right, we'll wrap up the show with Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. I promised I would give you an update before we leave here on the status there of Brian Wu. He's going to throw a bullpen session tomorrow, not, though, against hitters during the scrimmage. Dan Wilson saying today, telling the reporters there, he's still optimistic that Wu will be on the ALDS roster, but it's also likely they want to see him throw off a mound at least twice before making a playoff start. So I think that's going to rule him out for game 1. I think the question now becomes, is he ready for game 2? I just think the likely scenario, as we get to Hey, What the Puck, I think the likely scenario for Brian Wu is going to be a game 3. 1, it's going to give him more time to rest. Number 2, and I see the flip side of the argument against this is that then he's not going to be able to pitch twice during the ALDS. He would only pitch once if he were not able to go at game 2. I guess the counter to that would be he's been much better on the road opposed to the other 2 guys. I do believe that they will go with Gilbert game 1. They're going to go, I think, with Castillo in game 2 and then use Brian Wu in game 3. And then if a game 4 is necessary, they go there clearly with George Kirby. And then now you've got Gilbert, who would be on 5 days rest. I guess you could, in theory, use Castillo if you wanted to use his normal turn in the rotation. I mean, game 5 would be all hands on deck, so it wouldn't matter. But that's the latest with Wu. Protect Brian Wu at all costs, because it's not just about the ALDS really for him. This is about using him in game 3, then which you then can turn around and use him in game 1 of the ALCS, but just allow him more time to recover. That's Hey, What the Puck, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them at restoration1.com. Thanks for watching and listening today, Dave. Thank you to all of our sponsors here on the Daily Puck Drop and Puck Sports. Limback Lumber, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer. And Restoration One. Also for Jim on his Monday, Wednesday, and Friday visits, Clean Streak, Brotherton Cadillac, and Angry Beaver. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel. Also find the show on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, does not matter. And, of course, you can find everything up at pucksports.com, including signing up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. You support all the free content we do here. Plus, You get bonus shows throughout the week. Usually Wednesdays would be Ryan Divish, but Divish had a travel issues coming up from Tacoma to get to Safeco. I still call it Safeco, I know. So we're unable to get Divish on today. We may catch up with him. We're efforting to catch up with him later today, so we will have something for you. Also, another episode of the Sports Pit, your playoff preview coming out tomorrow with Steve Sandmeyer and Matt Stretch Johnson. Check it all out at pucksports.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thursday's show will include Brad Adam. Visit with Brad. First time we'll talk to Brad after the announcement that Root Sports is going away. In addition, we'll catch up with Mike Garofolo of the NFL Network at the top storylines leading up to the weekend of the NFL. Riq Woolen on the block. Will he be dealt? Sounds like he's going to be dealt before that November 4th deadline. Also, a live edition of KJ Arntz with one Mitch Levy from Mitch Unfiltered podcast. All of it coming up on Thursday's show. Until then, as always, we like to talk to you till tomorrow. Okay, we got plenty coming up on the show tomorrow because it always is a jam-packed show there on a Thursday. And this is me stalling because I don't have the end of the show ready to queue up. Because I'm an idiot. That's why. So when I say promise to be better, I really do mean I promise to be better tomorrow.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We like to send out anyway.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!